This episode may contain content that could be distressing or objectionable to certain listeners. Please refer to the episode show notes for details. Discretion is advised. Hello. Welcome to Your Movie, My Movie with Dan and Steve.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Steve. Also with us today are writer and not-so-silent partner of the podcast, Ciara.
I'm Ciara.
This is a podcast where one of us picks a movie to watch and we discuss it together. In this episode, we're talking about one of Ciara's picks, the 1994 movie Interview with a Vampire, starring Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas, Stephen Ray, Christian Slater, and Kirsten Dunst. Screenplay by Anne Rice and directed by Neil Jordan and based on the book by Anne Rice. We will be talking about spoilers, so if you want to watch the movie first, now's the time to do so. But before we talk about the movie, Dan, who would you recommend this movie to?
Thank you for asking. I would recommend this movie to all the gay vampires out there. Turn up, get wild, reach out to us. We'll be your center of communication, and we'll put you all in contact with each other.
Okay.
Steve.
Ciara.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, yeah.
Crap.
Forget about me. That's fine.
Well, I wasn't sure what the order was going to be. I'm sorry.
That's fair. I should have written this down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It helps to write it down.
It does help to write it down.
I've learned after a year of not writing it down. I'm sorry.
I would recommend this movie to nice, wholesome nuclear families who are God-loving, God-fearing. If they're ever looking for like a light spook for Halloween, even they don't celebrate it, we know, and that's completely fine. Absolutely your choice. It is fun for the whole family. As it has a great exploration into alternative family dynamics. That I feel like they shouldn't be so afraid to indulge in or to recognize and acknowledge. It's a beautiful story about let's say an orphan, and he finds family when his original family is gone and he's lost all sight of his future and life itself.
So a good comparison to the Fast and Furious movies.
100%. 100%.
So you're recommending this to fans of the Fast and Furious movies is what I'm hearing.
That as well. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a really great found family trope. And I feel like it really is fun for the whole family.
Yeah.
Family.
Exactly. Family.
Steve.
Yes, Dan.
Who would you recommend this movie for?
I would recommend this movie to people who are fans of Twilight, but not the glitter. That's what I recommend this to. Yeah.
I guess I'm them then.
Okay. So Ciara,
Yeah.
why did you pick this movie for the podcast?
Because it's the shit.
Okay.
I've loved this movie for a long time. It's one of the first movies I ever watched with boobs in it.
Okay. But the question is the thing is though is that this is definitely a sexy movie, but all the times that they show boobs, it's very questionable how sexy those times are.
No, 100%. 100%.
It's like no, I'm not.
Like seeing your mother naked or something.
No. Schindler's List.
Oh God! Holy shit!
That's a movie with a lot of female nudity in it,
for sure, but never.
But not
never
the
a sexy
not
tone.
the, yeah.
Yeah.
You got problems if you think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, it's one of my mom's favorite movies. Her top 5 favorite movies.
Okay.
Her favorite actors are in it, and I watched it countless times as a kid, like from ages like 10 to now. Really, I've seen it so many times. I read the book when I was in middle school. Thought it was phenomenal. And I feel like it's a movie that people know of, but they either have just like heard about it, so they feel like they've seen enough of it, just to say, or like people have heard of it and they're like, I'm not really feeling it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's there's a certain time when the movie was watched, but no one really goes back to it. And so I wanted to show you both because I know Daniel has never seen it, but you've seen it, right?
Yeah. I saw it the first time I saw it. It could have been too much later when it came out, like when I was maybe 15 or 16 on like HBO. Is when I saw it. And I'll admit, I just watched it, but I didn't really get it. I didn't really get it until I rewatched it just a few years ago. And I was a lot older and I got, a lot more of the themes that it was going for. So.
Yeah, same. It took a lot of watches. I mean, I've watched it. It's probably like my 9th time watching this film.
Yeah, this would only be like my 3rd or 4th, I think.
Yeah. And like, I don't think it was until I was like properly like in high school when I watched it and I was like, okay, now I'm understanding the plot. like now I'm getting it because I'd watched it at such a young age. Like my brain had already just sort of figured out what it was, what I thought it was, and that was it. But then watching it again with like, let's say like fresh eyes or whatever, as like someone who's grown, their frontal lobe is sort of developing. Like then it made a lot of sense to me. And with this watch, I was like, gosh, I forgot how good this movie is.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. And I got a lot of the themes of this movie spoon-fed to me through a role-playing game called Vampire the Masquerade, which came out in 1991, but I didn't get into it until maybe about 95 or 96.
Okay.
And those books were heavily inspired by Interview with a Vampire and other vampire movies too. And they spoon feed, they tell you directly, these are what the themes are. And they get them directly from the movie and the book. So
gotcha.
Yeah. So Dan, what's your take on the movie? Your initial take on the movie?
I really, really liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would because I wasn't sure what it was getting into it because I always hear people talk about it and it's always like, oh, this movie's so good and it's got all these actors in it and it's so like, homoerotic and like so like sexy and like, and it is all those things, but it's also like a gorgeous looking movie.
Oh God, yeah.
Like stunning.
The production design is just fucking incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
Incredible.
The production design, the costume design,
the
practical effects.
The makeup effects. The makeup effects for Tom Cruise.
Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Dude.
Yes.
Like it's amazing.
Everything about the way this movie was made is just insane.
Yeah.
And it's just so rich. The dialogue is so beautiful.
Tom Cruise is fucking funny as fuck in this movie.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good, dude. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to remember, like what movies is he as funny in? And all I can think of is maybe like Risky Business and Rain Man. What were you just?
Tropic Thunder?
No, different kind of comedy.
Different kind of comedy. Yeah.
This
is like really. It's interesting watching both Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt act because they're very much a yin and yang to each other. But like watching it this time, I was like, Tom Cruise really is honing in to like the campiness of Lestat.
Yeah, I mean? He's hamming it up.
100%. And Brad Pitt is a lot more like, I guess, reserved. He's taking it very, very, very
he's the
serious.
Straight man.
100%.
Yeah. And, this movie...
If you could call it that.
Well...
Nice one.
Sorry.
That's fair. Yeah, like I remember reading about the books in the Interview with the Vampire series. And I also think and I definitely watched Queen of the Damned. I saw it in theater, but I don't remember a goddamn thing about it.
No, yeah,
other than
really.
Robert Townsend's in it, and also the chick who was in the TV movie remake of Firestarter, I think.
Yep.
We'll have to take your word on that one.
Yeah. She was also in Queen of the Damned, but yeah, and she didn't have much of a career after, but yeah. Well, it could have been, her choice, but you never know. But anyway, yeah, it's like, oh my God, this is back when this is one of the few movies where Tom Cruise is actually trying,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is a good actor.
I love Tom Cruise and I love Tom Cruise movies.
Mm-hmm.
But he definitely has different eras.
Yeah.
He has his early era, and then he has this middle era, which Interview with the Vampire is in, and then it's, in the 2000s, that's when you get into, well, really it was Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And then after Mission Impossible, he's basically doing the same movies over and over and over.
After Mission Impossible, it was Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And then Two Impossible.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible Tokyo Drift.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Impossible.
Mm-hmm. Well, you also get the sci-fi movies that I also like too, because there was Oblivion and what is it? Edge of Tomorrow, also known as
Live, Die, Repeat.
Live, Die, Repeat, yeah.
So
I also think
but he also did Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher's great. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Not like Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher
I
1
love Jack Reacher.
I think it's because I don't like Tom Cruise.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
to me, his acting has never been strong. This is like the strongest his.
Oh
acting has been
yeah. This is him like showing his craft like full on.
Yeah. Have you guys seen Valkyrie?
Yeah, I saw it.
I like that one.
But the thing is I think one of the things that makes this movie so great, especially in regards to Tom Cruise's acting, is because like in most of his movies after Mission Impossible, he's an executive producer on.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's like invested in the movie and he has like a lot of control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And even just with his star power, like on Operation Valkyrie, he still has a lot of creative control over what happens.
Mm.
And so I think like with Interview with a Vampire, he's a star. And I think he has some pull on the movie, but he doesn't need to. So he can like really focus on acting and getting into the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also it's a character we don't think of as Tom Cruise, know? So, yeah.
It might be one of my favorite roles of his, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just so good in it. And like for me to like really, someone who despises that man,
Yeah.
to give him any sort of flowers, my soul's crushing right now. But he did really, really great. The casting in this film really was just
oh my God,
phenomenal.
I mean, I just went through the top actors, but I also can't believe the order of it either.
Yeah.
Like Kirsten Dunst is last. I mean, no way. She was incredible in this movie.
She was amazing. She was the child, right?
Yeah, Claudia.
Yeah,
she was insane.
She outacts the three main actors in the film, which is just phenomenal. And she was like 12, 13?
Something like that. But the thing is, what also makes her role so great is that even though she has the body of a tween, basically, a young girl, over time, her mind and personality develops into that of a fully adult woman.
And I think that as a child actor, that's like amazing that she was able to hone into that, because that was phenomenal. Because you see her when she's a child, obviously, but then you also see her as a 30-year-old woman.
Yeah,
you turn the same bitch.
She becomes like Lady Macbeth.
Like, dude, like she knocks it out the park in this movie. Oh my God, this also might be one of my favorite films that she's done, and she's a kid in this, bro. Like she's great. Like when Kirsten Dunst, I feel like she's a underrated actress. Like she has roles where it's like, but when she gets those roles, capital R, bro, oh, she fucking kills it. And this was obviously one of them. Absolutely loved her in this movie.
Yeah. But anyway, as I was going to say
Oh,
before,
yeah. So,
one of the things that I read about was how, Louis compared to the other vampires in the series, like he's so insufferable about his great suffering and regret at, this immortal evil form that he is forced to inhabit. And, all the other vampires are like, lighten up.
Yeah.
You're being a bitch. Lighten up, bitch.
Ass, bro. Like, he just doesn't shut the fuck up. Like, literally what Lestat said in the end, he's like, I've had to listen to this whining for centuries, bitch. That's how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And and Lestat plays a great foil to that, where he indulges in, the vampire as the predator.
Yeah.
And feeding on humanity and, being beyond good and evil because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because he doesn't even equate himself to God. He's like, if anything, I'm better.
Yeah.
Bigger. And I think that's just crazy. Granted, he's had like over 200 years worth of like thinking he's the shit. I feel like by 100 years old, you're allowed to think that you're bigger than God.
So your grandpa?
Yeah, my grandpa's almost better than God. He's almost bigger than God. My great grandfather's almost 100.
Yeah. He's 99.
He's 99 right now. Yeah, but like it's so funny because with Louis, like, as he was living, like as a mortal being, he was like, life is awful. I fucking hate my life. My wife and my child are gone. Oh, what's the point of being in this life? I'm a successful master on this plantation field, but fuck, I hate my life. Mm-hmm. And then he's dead, and he's like, God, I'm dead. Like, bitch, choose one. Well, and also, he had plenty of opportunities to kill himself. I feel like you could be immortal, you could still die. You feel me? Like, obviously.
Well, that's the theme that his character encapsulates, which is a death wish, basically. Mm-hmm. He wants to die. He wants to shuffle off this mortal coil, so he no longer has to worry about all the existential things he's worrying about. But then he becomes a vampire, and then, well, now he just has to suffer through that without the inevitable embrace of death, without the inevitable death. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I love how Lestat is like trying to like seduce him into the idea of being a vampire. He does it poorly.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to give you the choice I never had. And then doesn't give him a fucking choice. Doesn't give him a fucking choice.
Well, he does.
Well, he asks him.
Yeah, he asks him.
But like, I feel like he was still like, you need time to figure that out. You know what I mean? If you want to die so bad, and also then someone gives you an opportunity to be undead and live forever, would you not need like at least a month to fucking pencil that in and be like, I don't know.
And you also need to know what the consequences are.
What the consequences is, or consequences are, right? Exactly. So like the fact he's like, I'm going to give you the choice that I never had. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, you see Louis at the plot of his wife and his daughter. And he's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Scratching his noggin. Right. And all of a sudden, Lestat is like, have you thought about it enough? It's been maybe 2 hours.
Snap decisions are when people are at their most honest, though. So
yeah.
And I also want to point out, so I said that Louis is a character who has a death wish, and he's played by Brad Pitt. And this movie came out in 1994. Mm-hmm. So another movie that came out in 1994 was Legends of the Fall, which Brad Pitt was also in.
Yes.
Have you seen it, Ciara?
I have not, but I do know of it. Yeah.
Oh, have you seen it?
No, it's on the
okay. Well, Brad Pitt, he plays a guy who has a death wish in that movie as well.
Typecasting.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, and it came out the same year. So
he has those sad, sullen eyes that like only like a dying Elizabethan child would have. You know what I mean? So like you have to give him those roles, right?
Yeah,
where he's just at the fucking brink.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, he's a lot like Tom Hardy, kind of in that respect, where he can portray that kind of sensitivity.
Yeah.
But also, he can be harsh, he can still be violent. So
yeah.
And sexy.
Well, and absolutely sexy. Yeah.
God,
I love Brad Pitt, or I like his acting. I don't know him as a person.
Well,
fair.
I've heard some bad things about him as a person.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot all about that.
But
Fuck him too.
I love 12 Monkeys.
Oh yeah.
I love his role in 12 Monkeys. I love I mean, not to get off on tangents. We got to talk about this movie.
We can be on tangents. We can be on what you like. Yeah.
I don't know what other movies I'm thinking of with Brad Pitt.
Well, I like well, the thing that I'm always like about Brad Pitt is like his line readings because sometimes it can be like samey from one role to the next. Yeah. So
for sure.
That's fair.
Come on. Let's go. You know what I mean? Was that from Seven or was that from Ocean's 11? You know?
Get his ass.
I mean, no. I'm not roasting him too hard, but I mean, like, you know.
No, you're 100% on that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I want to talk about because like again, this movie I think is fantastic, and it's like there's no like I think it's just a great example of the putting together of a wonderful team.
Yeah.
Because holy shit, we have the person who wrote the novel writing the screenplay.
Yeah.
But I think is always the way to go, honestly.
Well, I mean,
not always.
Yeah.
let me correct myself. I said it too impulsively. Sometimes it's the right way to go.
I feel like if it goes right, it goes the best it can possibly go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of other examples other than like Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh, that was such a good example.
The Outsiders and S.E. Hinton stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
S.E. Hinton did Rumblefish script as well, which is really good. We might have to watch that, Steve.
I never heard of it.
Oh, cool.
You're not missing much.
Yeah, okay. So you didn't like it.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's too emo boy for her.
It's
okay.
too emo boy for me.
Worse
than this.
I mean, that's saying a lot.
Women know how to write depressed men so well.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. It's so good.
Well, I mean, you know, when you're a woman, you know, she wrote the book in the 70s, you know. So that was just as women were, you know, really entering in the workplace and you know, the sexual revolution for birth control was happening. And didn't she have a lot of personal tragedy before the book was written?
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Okay.
Do I remember what it was? No.
Okay. So, I mean, so it makes sense, you know? Yeah.
But the team.
Yeah.
And so it's like the actors bring their own, and I feel like the director brought a lot to this movie as well.
Okay. So the director, Neil Jordan, I wrote down what he also wrote. He also, well, not what he wrote, but what he also directed. He also directed The Crying Game, which also had Stephen Ray in it, who's also in this movie. And he also did Michael Collins, which is a movie I watch. It's a Michael Collins. He was, so he was an agitator for Irish independence back during the he was killed in the early 1920s, I think. But before then, he agitated for Irish independence from the United Kingdom. Yeah, and he directed a movie. Oh, Stephen Ray must have been in that movie too. So he really likes to work with Stephen Ray. And I know Stephen Ray from Citizen X, but he was also, which is a great movie about a serial killer in the Soviet Union back when they refused to believe that they had serial killers. Yeah, because the Soviet Union, they don't see things as, they don't recognize crimes as crimes. They recognize it as mental illness.
Oh, right.
Because in a Soviet utopia, communist utopia, there's no need to be a criminal.
Right.
So that was a great movie. That was an old HBO movie. But he was also in V for Vendetta as the detective. Yeah.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's great. He's absolutely great. But anyway, Neil Jordan.
He also directed Mona Lisa.
I haven't seen Mona Lisa.
I haven't seen it either, but it's a very famous movie.
Okay.
Of that time period in Britain. film history of there's kind of resurgence of crime movies in Britain.
Okay.
In the 80s, and that was a big role for Bob Hoskins, I know.
Okay.
I just know that Mona Lisa is a very influential movie for British cinema.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, we'll have to watch it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just seeing a lot of impressive movies.
I think what makes him such a great director, especially with this movie, is that he's obviously directed dramas, and that's how he directed this movie. As he didn't direct it as like a horror movie or anything like that. No. He directed it as a drama, specifically a character drama about the horror that Louis feels being a vampire and having to live for eternity, but having to murder people to do so.
Yeah.
So I think, for him as a director, that's what made it so great. And also, his vision through the production design.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Michael Collins it's a historical period piece too, like during the 1920s. And that one is, for that time, looks very well too. So. Yeah.
Also, too, I was noticing so much of the blocking was amazing this movie. The blocking of the camera and the blocking of the performances was impeccable, and just the staging, and that that could be everything. That could be the cinematographer as well, but just again the team of people who made this movie, it went so hard. It was so much better than I was expecting. I was expecting like a dated 90s movie with, very, what is it called? Like smudged lens. What is it called? Diffusion, like a ton of diffusion and just like glossy glamour. Basically.
Like bokeh, like background blur and.
Yeah. And just soft. Everything looks soft and beautiful and sexy. And it did, but also
there's a harsh edge in this movie to all of those things because dealing with vampires, it's that they do it for, to be predators, so.
Yeah, so I was amazed at the just production of this movie as a work of a collective of artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was more complex than I was expecting too, and it pulled off the multiple time periods thing really well, I think.
Yeah.
The production design was amazing for that. Like even whenever, I think my favorite, it was a very small segment, but whenever Brad Pitt was in it looked like 90s. No, not 90s. It was like the 70s.
In the movie theater.
Yeah, coming out of the movie theater.
1990.
1988.
1988. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I thought that looked awesome too.
It's funny because the two movies, when the first movie he watches, it's a movie called Sunrise, A Tale of Two Humans, and then the last movie we see him come out of the theater on the marquee is Tequila Sunrise.
Yes, I love that so much. So much fun about he went in, he was like, yeah, I can see another sunrise.
Yeah. Maybe a little too on the nose, but I mean, this movie's so good, I don't mind. So.
Yeah. I'm lost. I'm sorry.
I love that through all of the loss that he experienced as Immortal and Immortal, he's like, God, nothing's for me anymore. This is all awful. And then film happened.
Yeah.
And he's like, film saved my fucking life.
He's a kinophile or whatever.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. He's like, I don't know. There's nothing left for me. I've seen every marvel that the world and man has ever laid out for me. I've seen it all. I'm however many years old. I don't know if I can do this anymore. But that silver screen, God, I'm revived.
I can't help but wonder how that part got in. I mean, did Anne Rice write it as a nod, for to make it a movie, or did the directors you should talk about how great movies are. Maybe they're trying to do it to get an Oscar nod. So who knows?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just so funny. Oh my gosh. Like in my notes, I wrote "film saved my life" and goes.
I love it when movies do that and like talk about the importance of film. It's like so self-important.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Like it's gone past. So like, oh, that's so meta in a good way. It's like
Yeah.
that's so meta derogatory.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, sorry guys.
No, you're not.
All right, cool. Well, I thought it was a cool movie.
No, I think it's a great movie. I think
kidding.
it's a great movie, but I might roast it a bit.
No.
And speaking of roast, just as a bit of a tangent, do you realize how many times
He set shit on fire.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like
so
if I had a nickel for every time Brad Pitt burned a place down, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's funny that it happens 3 times.
Exactly. Like it's absolutely nuts. I was scrolling through Letterboxd, and the majority of people, if they were talking about how gay the movie is or how not gay enough the movie is, they're talking about how many times he set shit on fire.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Yeah.
That's like his out.
Yeah.
That's his big act of like, because he doesn't want to hurt anybody. A fire is also a signal of like you should run.
Mm-hmm.
But he just keeps setting shit on fire. And
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only times he's set things on fire is when he's trying to protect people or when he's trying to kill people.
It's kind of like a starting over, though.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
Burning his bridges, but instead of a bridge, it's his home.
Mhm.
And so yeah, he burns what's ever there to try to forget his past and then move on to somewhere else. But then just the same shit keeps happening to him.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can see what if you do that, 3 times over the course of 200 years. You get tired of life,
Yeah.
and because that's very, very dramatic, and how much drama can you handle as an immortal? I mean, at some point you got to say, I'm just gonna stay in my cave as a vampire. And
Speaking
chill
of
out.
drama and
Mhm.
immortals,
Yeah,
what the fuck is up with these vampires being thespians, bro? Because I forgot
Oh, I
about
loved that.
forgot about
I
that.
loved that.
That whole concept
Yeah.
in the film. I completely forgot about
I
it
was eating that up.
until this happened. Until I was watching this now, and I was like, God, that's fucking insufferable.
well, it
No,
also
it was
makes
amazing.
sense because if Louis talks about the magic of film at the end, in the middle he talks about the horror that happens through the stage.
Yeah.
Because the Theater de Vampires, they're a troupe of vampires who pretend to be humans, who pretend to be vampires,
Mhm.
and that's how they hunt.
Yeah.
That's how they feed on people, and they do it as entertainment to the people who come in, and that's how they get away with it because they don't realize that it's real. That they captured a girl and they're feeding on her and killing her, but they think it's all an act.
Mhm.
So
I just made a connection.
Uh-huh.
So we have Armand. We meet Armand around the scene.
played by Antonio Banderas.
Played by Antonio Banderas.
and like before he became big, like he wasn't. I don't think he was well known when this came out.
Well known,
Yeah,
no,
I don't.
not at all.
I think he became real big when Desperado came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ate this role.
Oh yeah.
He was a man of few words, but fuck, did he say every one of them? So Armand is who turned Lestat, right?
Well, is he? Because it's never clear in the movie.
It's never clear, but like you gotta know.
Okay.
I feel like he's one of the oldest living vampires.
Yeah,
Armand. He's from Paris.
Turned a lot of those people.
Yeah, so it's
But we don't know that for sure. Like we
That's
know
true.
that Armand is the leader, but that could just be because he's the oldest, and kind of like how Louis and Claudia do. They go looking, and then he eventually finds them. But
true.
we don't know for sure.
Fair.
That's
so
true.
The alleged vampire daddy
Okay.
of Lestat, right?
Well, daddy in spirit, if not in blood.
And yeah,
So to say.
I was gonna say in bed.
Yeah.
And with Armand, he has this theater troupe, and they all feast pretty much on the what am I trying to say?
Ingenue?
No,
Or, like-
they entice the people who are rich enough to come see
Yeah.
shows, right?
Yeah.
So this is high class money, right? And Lestat said that his favorite thing to eat on are like the aristocratic or like the richest of the people that are around him because they taste better. And so that's why I thought that either Armand is the daddy or Armand is at least connected to the person who turned Lestat.
Yeah.
But I just like the signals are firing. Things are crossing.
Yeah.
Well, another reason why I like that scene is because it's so indicative of Hollywood, where you have a young good-looking woman, and then you have all the bloodsuckers killing her for people's entertainment. That's an obvious, allegory right there, or metaphor. So.
And I love with this movie, because there's different ways you can do a vampire movie, different ways you can make a vampire. But one thing that seems super common in like any vampire movie or book or fanfic, whatever you read, is that the vampires, especially the super predatory ones, they want the person scared.
Yeah,
they want the prey scared, and I love that they still kept that in this movie for some reason, because they could have done it completely different.
Yeah.
But I love that was like their main thing, is that they want them scared. Especially when we're going back to the scene where the play is happening and this woman is screaming.
Yeah.
And she's being passed around on the stage and she's fearful and she's being stripped naked. And the crowd is just watching with like astonishment and fear and like and they're like curious, and she's shaking. And it's only once she like sort of like bows her head and sort of accepts it and goes into Armand or whatever that they start. But they needed that blood pumping. They needed that like extreme anxiety. And I feel like when it comes to vampires, it's not only that they're feeding on the blood, obviously, but they're feeding on that fear.
Yeah,
like
sure.
it's almost necessary for it to happen. I don't know.
No, you're right. And I think the theater to vampires, I think that's an allusion to, what's it called? The Grand Guignol? I believe that's, the Grand Guignol. That's it. And that was a theater back at that time, and they would put on horror plays. And they would show like, they would depict like apparently like really gruesome things regarding horror. So I think that's like, I don't know much about it other than it was a thing, but I think that's what the theater to vampires was an allusion to.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I mean, it's just a way of for the audience to experience death.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just why we watch horror, right? It's to experience death without experiencing death. It's to explore the themes of death and how thinking about death makes you feel. And that lady's dying, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's who those vampires play on the stage. And all the plays that we see, they literally play as death.
Yeah.
Talking about, who they're going to kill and how death doesn't care and all these other things. So
that was one of the most stunning sequences, in my opinion, was that whole theater scene. Just because of the way it looked, the costume design, the materials that the vampires were wearing was like this velvety liquid almost. Like they would like devour down on the woman. And it was just like a mass of like just this, again, like a liquid mass, and it was so terrifying and beautiful. And that whole segment, like a lot of this movie looked like paintings.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Barry Lyndon.
You're gonna say that.
Sorry. But
I don't think we got a whole lot of dynamic shots in the movie, like where the camera moves. I don't think we got a lot of that in this, did we?
Dynamic shots?
Yeah. Like where the camera moves around?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a lot.
Okay.
It was subtle though, and it didn't draw a lot of attention to it. So.
Okay.
Like,
but it still feels like a painterly movie.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. And that's where I was talking about the blocking of like the camera. Like there was a shot towards the end of, Brad Pitt walking into a room, and then we pan out and it's in a mirror. So then we get to see Kirsten Dunst and this woman she's brought in as a companion.
Oh, yeah.
So we get like a mirror shot, and then we see them, and then we turn around and see his reaction to it all in the same shot. And it's just like what I loved about this movie.
And how Claudia and Madeline, how they're framed. Like they're framed.
Yes.
Like they're wearing solid color, like either silk or satin dresses.
Yeah.
But they're the same cut, but different sizes and different colors. But like they have like almost twin mirror posing towards each other, even though Claudia is like so short. And that was great framing for the actors.
It's amazing. And just the blocking of that. I'm trying to think of what other blocking I was going to talk about.
Well, I don't know while you're thinking about that. My favorite shot was when the vampires they had captured Claudia and Madeline, and Louis, and then they had pulled them down the hallway, and then once they got at the end of the hallway, they separated them. And then you see Claudia like she's horizontal.
Yes.
And like her fingers are dangling.
Yes.
And like I think, Louis might be too on the other side, and they're going opposite directions.
Yes.
And that was a great shot.
I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
I caught the very end of that shot, but I was like, oh, that was a great one that I just missed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that whole sequence is just so frenetic. So the editing during that part was absolutely great too.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think my favorite shot is the only imperfect shot they have in this movie. And it's a shaky ass crane shot.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
What shot was
that? It's looking down.
It's looking down onto Louis.
Yeah.
What was he coming out of?
He was coming out, and that's when he sees Armand for the first time, right?
I thought that was after he burns the place down, and Armand is. Right?
Could be.
I think it's after Louis burns all of the vampires in the theater.
Okay.
And he comes out the stage door or whatever. Right before the sunlight starts to hit him. It's a over the head crane shot of him coming out of the door, and he's walking just a few paces, and it's shaky ass shit.
I'll have to look out for that next time.
But then it morphs into something crazy. I forget how that shot transforms.
Yeah.
But it totally transforms.
Well, the way I remember that sequence is Louis comes out, and then the sky is full of smoke, but then there's a little clearing to where we see the sun.
Right.
And then Louis kneels down. Yeah, huddles down. And then that's where we see coming, I think maybe through the smoke, are the black horses pulling Armand's carriage. And then the carriage pulls up to Louis, and then Armand opens the door and he's like,
Louis.
Yeah. And then Louis gets into the carriage with him.
So right before the smoke clears for the sun, right after he comes out the door, it's just
it is very shaky.
So shaky.
But it still works really well.
It still works really, really well.
Okay.
I wonder if they noticed it. They're like, we can't fucking do that shot again.
They definitely noticed it. They noticed it.
Well, they might have only had one take or something.
Yeah, and they're like, fuck it. They're like, let's put it in.
Or there could have been a malfunction with the crane with all the takes, and that was just the best take they had.
Because it's one of my favorite shots, and it's the only imperfect shot they have in the whole film. I know it's annoying of me, but it's so great.
Yeah.
Because I watched it countless times. I watched it on DVD. I've watched it on HBO. I've watched it everywhere. Every time it's just it's great.
There's so many good shots in this movie, and I need to watch this movie like 3 more times at least. At least.
Okay.
It's just there's so much in here. I was not expecting it to be this much. I thought this was going to be like an overrated movie, but it's as good as people say.
Yeah, Daniel has notes, and he's written way more than I have.
Yeah. He's written way more than I have. I didn't write a lot of notes, but most of my notes were mostly on the themes, and things like that, especially that I know of from like Vampire the Masquerade.
Mine are mostly about Lestat being a bitch. I hate that motherfucker. If there's any fictional character that I could like really just wish I could wring their neck, it's probably Lestat. Lestat on Cole. I can't stand that motherfucker.
Well,
he's pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh, he's hilarious. I mean,
he's hilarious, but he's an awful person.
But that's also what makes this movie great is because Louis is so melodramatic about his existential horror of just existing. You have to lighten this movie up. You just have to lighten this movie up so audiences can get through it. And that's what Lestat does, but he does it in such a dark way, making all those jokes, all the jokes he makes. I didn't write any down with the what is it? I'm starting to get like when he's dancing with Claudia's dead mother, and he's like, "Oh, I think there's still life in the old lady yet."
He just fucking flings her body away.
Yeah,
she's like, "No, Louis, don't leave me."
Yeah, you need that kind of humor, and I'm glad that they use like just such dark humor about it. And like the other humor is like when they first adopt Claudia and she keeps killing all these people, and he has to be like, no, don't do that. And then he just
don't kill her.
He just taps her the back of the hand as punishment. But that's also his character. He he loves Claudia, and he sees people not as people but as prey, and he doesn't care that she kills people. He cares how she kills them.
Because in the movie, Louis says that Lestat doesn't see Claudia as a child; he sees her as a pupil.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make her like the best and brightest 45-year-old, 9-year-old you could get on the market. You know what I mean? And there's such an obsessive nature of Lestat, and I really do enjoy that aspect of him. I watched the show. The show and the movie are a little bit different, but they do keep that aspect of his character, that obsessive, controlling, manipulative person. It's explored at length in the show compared to the movie, but it still is shown in the movie to the point where he's so obsessed with Louis, and he's like, I can't be without Louis. Don't want to be without Louis. That he gets a trap baby, in Claudia, and was like, "No, you can't leave because we have a daughter."
Yeah, and what does Claudia say? Oh my God, I thought I wrote it down. But she was like, we are bound together by hate.
Yes.
Yeah. Is like, the most toxic family relationship you could have. I mean, this should have been a Thanksgiving pick. This really should have been a Thanksgiving pick.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to compare a little bit to the show really quick.
Okay, that's fine.
I do love that in the show, the relationship between Claudia and Louis is just so beautiful. It really does feel very like daughter-father. Because in the show, he's the one that's like, we have to save this girl. She's close to death. We have to save her. And Lestat's like, fuck no, I don't want a little child, bitch baby child. I don't want that. And Louis like, pretty please. And he's like, okay. But in this one, Lestat is the one that pushes it on to Louis. And in the show, Claudia has a lot more time, or we see her have a lot more time to think about how she wants to get rid of Lestat. However, they're going to get away from Lestat. Because at first she's like, we can't kill him, obviously. And Louis is like, please don't kill my man. But then throughout, she's like, no, we gotta get rid of this motherfucker. And it takes a long time for Louis to get into the, sorry, spoilers. It takes a long time for Louis to get into the idea of killing Lestat, his lover. You know what I mean? But in the movie, it kind of just comes out of nowhere. Claudia is just like, you two are bound by hate, and I love you. I fucking hate Lestat, so let's kill the bitch. And Louis is like, you're right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So in the show, she's in more episodes than just the one I saw, because she died in that one, didn't she?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you watch the fucking show, Daniel, you would know.
I still like the movie better.
Crazy.
But that's one of the things that I noticed is that Louis, he doesn't really kill anybody like out of malice or anything like that until the theater de vampires kill Claudia.
Yep.
It's always Lestat or it's always Claudia herself.
Yep.
And so Louis, he's like, really a passive character in that kind of way. But it's because he's trying to retain his humanity. Now, Lestat, he let go of his humanity long, long ago.
200 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Or before he was even a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah. What does he say when New Orleans moves from, the Kingdom of France or the French Empire to America? He doesn't like he doesn't like the Americans' taste for democracy. Yeah, he says something like that. So yeah, he's totally an elitist.
Yeah.
And he also, so I just know he has that, vampires are beyond, the good and evil of the humans that we prey on.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Lestat let go of his humanity long ago, but Claudia, she was never old enough to establish hers, which is what makes her such a ruthless and efficient killer.
Yeah.
So she's
children are cruel.
What's that?
Children are cruel.
Enfant terrible. There's a term for that in storytelling.
Yeah.
The enfant terrible. Yeah. But with the case of Claudia is that her personality evolves beyond being an enfant terrible, but her body never does, and that's her prison basically. What makes her such a tragic figure?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is tragic. I mean,
yeah.
Because imagine being like 12 your whole life.
Yeah.
Oh,
gross.
Well, no, it's not. It's not being 12 your whole life. Imagine being a 40-year-old woman in a 12-year-old's body.
What's that one bitch from the Batman comics? She's a Batman villain. Is it Batman villain? And she's a child, but she's stuck as a child forever.
The doll. She. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I always think of Claudia.
Yeah. Well, that's how Lestat treats her.
Yeah.
He gives her a doll every day on the same year, and eventually Claudia figures out the reason why is because that's when he turned her into a vampire.
Right.
And she has and this was like 30 years ago though.
Yeah.
And he just wants her to be a doll forever, and he only sees the superficiality of what she is. He only sees that she's a child, so he treats her like a child. Whereas Louis, sees her mind as it evolves, despite her body, and that's why Claudia loves Louis more than Lestat.
Yeah.
So
and Lestat also uses the fact that because she's obviously very insecure and very frustrated, her only having like a child body, being however old she is, and Lestat bullies her for it, and it's such bullshit. Like there's a scene where she's about to set him up to kill him, right? And she's like, I have a present for you, Lestat. And he was like, oh, it's a beautiful woman with endowments that you'll never get.
Yeah.
And just like, yo, back the fuck up. That's like a 9-year-old's body. Don't talk about her titties like that, you weirdo. Like, that freaks me out.
Yeah, but that's why the people who love Lestat because he's ruthless. Not only is he a ruthless killer, but he'll insult the fuck out of you. He'll roast you hard.
Rated E for everyone.
Yeah.
You're 12 years old or an 84 12 years old. Like, you don't give a damn.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you how good of a manipulator he is.
Oh,
yeah.
Because
absolutely.
that's the one thing she's the most insecure about, the one thing she cares the most about, and it's what he uses against her.
Yeah.
But she, obviously takes it.
Mm-hmm.
What a crazy scene when she fucking kills him.
Yeah.
So good.
Holy shit, that was insane.
Close your ears, Daniel. Close your ears. Because I don't want you to know. Have you seen Gone Girl?
He's not seen Gone Girl, no.
Gone Girl.
Yes! That's exactly what I thought too.
Gone Girl.
God, so good.
Okay, you can stop now. Yeah.
I love this movie so much. And because I watch a lot of I say a lot. I don't watch that many vampire movies, but I do like the idea of it. The way culture has changed the story of vampires and all of that stuff. And this is my first ever vampire movie, so of course I love it. have questions.
Okay.
I have two.
Okay.
Well, really, one's like a assumptive statement, and the other one's a question.
Okay.
Why couldn't have the vampires have just said that they're a doctor specializing in bloodletting? Because around the time where Lestat meets Louis, up until like the late 1890s, bloodletting was a huge thing, especially over in Paris. And so it's just like they absolutely could have fucking just gone door to door bloodletting, especially with the plague and shit happening. Oh my God, they would have fucking made blood bank, if you will. Like that would have been so fucking smart. And then two, I wrote it down. Getting bit by a vampire must either feel like the most painful orgasm or the most like erotic death possible.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten bit by a mosquito on my neck. Never am I like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems so fucking painful. You're getting giant, thick pieces in your neck or in your wrist, and they're just like, no, what? That's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
It's the danger. It's the flirting with death.
Because even like Lestat sucks blood out homegirl's titty, that would hurt a lot.
Well, so in the game Vampire the Masquerade, when a vampire bites to feed, they call it the kiss. And they say that when a vampire does the kiss, it's actually pleasurable so that the person being bit won't fight back.
So is it like a really intense hickey feeling or something like that? Or like...
Maybe it's an orgasm feeling.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, I cannot imagine someone biting onto my neck, me being like, yeah.
Also, people are in a pain. So...
Fair, but there's no
we can watch Hellraiser. Maybe that'll be my Halloween pick. It depends on what you pick, Dan, because you get next pick. But
because like between this movie and the show and any other vampire thing I've seen, the vampire bite or the kiss or whatever, like I need them to explain to me. I need them to put it into like layman's terms.
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on? Because that has bothered me my whole life.
Yeah, sadomasochism is what it is. You know, the pleasure, the pain.
Do the vampires smell it on people and they're like, oh, they're a freak, let me get some blood? Like,
no, the kiss is inherently pleasurable. And this is when you can apply evolutionary theory. Because if it wasn't pleasurable, the humans would just fight back. So it has to be pleasurable to bring them under heel or to bring them under their power so that they don't fight back.
Gotcha.
You know, because the prostitute who got her titty bit, she didn't notice that her titty was bit until
she looked down.
Yeah, you know.
And she was
yeah.
Her screaming that part always makes me fucking laugh, and I feel so bad because homegirl's about to die, and I feel like her titty got bit. That's the worst way to go. You know, those are her money makers, and so it's just like, oh, poor thing for her. It's so bad. God, I love
I have to talk
movie.
about the decision.
Which decision?
To freaking make them fly when he bites them.
Okay.
Like, did that not blow you guys away?
Those shots?
Like whenever, like what? He just bites them and then they just start levitating, and they're like floating as they're making out, kind of thing. And I was just like, "Oh, what? What?"
It was way hotter in the show.
It was crazy.
It was so hot in the show.
Well, you know, you also have to establish.
So cool.
Well, you also have to establish that these vampires, you know, they have their special powers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I just thought it was amazing looking, and it was like,
it's a great shot. Yeah. Well, it's also that thing. It's also that thing where people don't look up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can like, you know, like there's a shot like in a lot of action movies. You know, a team will come in and they'll just look around, but they won't look up. And then the guy that they're needed, you know, is up on the ceiling, and then he shoots down.
Yeah.
So it's also, you know, there's horror right all around us, right in plain view if we only chose to look at it, which is what happens in the theater too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, such good stuff.
One more thing I wanted to talk about as far as the filmmaking side. It was just like something I thought was a good example of the filmmaking of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It just reminded. Okay, movies nowadays, I have a lot of gripes with because they're lazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't move the camera enough, and they just cut too much. They just cut too much. Period. And this movie did a lot of things where, with the blocking again. So like there's the example I wrote down was, so what is his name? Louis. Louis bites Yvette's wrist.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yvette freaks out and she starts shaking and she leaves. And we just see, I think we start on her wrist and we follow her reaction. We watch her leave and it's like a single shot. It's only her. And then we pan down and it's Lestat, and then he delivers a line. So it's just like, it's just simple and incredibly smooth.
Yeah.
You have transitions built into your shots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes work to do that, and it takes rehearsal, and it takes getting a few takes. But it just makes it so much more enjoyable to watch, and it makes it so much more cinematic, and like people cared when they made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put in the work.
Yeah.
Put in the work and it'll show on the screen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one thing I wanted to say
Mm-hmm.
about what I was talking about earlier. Not to just only harp on that, but
Well, one thing we haven't talked about yet in regards to the actual filmmaking process is the score and the soundtrack.
The score is fucking nuts.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I forgot how much I loved it. Oh, my word.
Do you remember what your favorite musical piece was?
I think it's the part where Louis gets separated from.
Yeah, because it's like circus music almost.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much like a played up, what you would hear in an orchestra pit at a show, like the curtains coming down for intermission, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And that's what it sounds like, and I love that because when I first used to watch, I'm like, this is a lot. This is really loud for no reason. But then watching it again, it's like that's so smart.
Yeah, it goes with
so
the frenetic energy of that whole
Absolutely.
sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still ties in that the very like stagey playhouse effect.
And it also shows that it's just not a theater; it's also a madhouse in there.
Exactly.
And it gets that through the action on screen and through the editing, and also through that particular musical piece.
Like
when they freaking turn the camera upside down.
Oh, yeah. I knew you were gonna
Well, they had Louis upside down.
Yeah.
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 It's amazing.
Yeah.
For some reason in my head, I'm gonna quick tangent. In my head, when that whole scene was going on and it's like the whole cast of characters and all like, wah, it felt like a straight man's Rocky Horror. That's all I could think about. I almost wanted them to start doing the fucking time warp at some point. They also have a chick with big red hair too. I was like, this is sick. I wanted there to be a music number because the music was so boisterous and there was just so much happening. I was like, they've got to take a step to the left or jump to the left and a step to the right. Like, it's got to happen.
So I'm looking at the composer. The composer was Elliot Goldenthal. And it says here that his work includes music for films such as Pet Sematary, Alien 3, Michael Collins, Batman Forever, and Heat, and the Academy Award-winning score for Julie Taymor's Frida.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
That's very nice.
I mean, he did this, but then he also did Alien 3 and Batman Forever, but he also did Michael Collins and Heat. So that's a hell of a ride.
Range.
What's that?
Wide range.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
A thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freaking, there's a few things, obviously. I don't know what to start on. I'm gonna start on. Okay. So I have a thing about haircutting in movies.
Okay.
I'm gonna write at least one essay about it one point in time in my life.
Okay.
Nobody steal my idea. You can steal my idea. That's fine. But I'm gonna write it better.
That's always true, by the way.
But so haircutting, it's a symbol of change. It's symbol of transformation, self-transformation, or yes, liberation. It is just also it can be a shame, thing. So if you think about, people getting stripped and their head shaved.
Schindler's List, when the women who slept with the German officers were grabbed by the French resistance.
Haven't seen it, but yes, I was thinking of that scene because I've heard about that scene, or V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
Because I mean that actually happens in real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean Britney Spears.
Yeah.
But anyways, so haircutting is a huge deal in movies, and one thing I was thinking about was, what is it, Claudia, right?
Yeah, Claudia.
Yeah.
She is like, I am an adult. I'm going to show the change that is happening inside of my body. I'm going to cut my hair, and she cuts all her hair off. But it's crazy because she doesn't have the control to be able to do that like humans do.
Yeah.
Humans can say, I'm going to show that a change has occurred in me. But she doesn't have that option. It grows back immediately.
Yeah. The reason why is because she's dead. And I wanted to talk about this theme anyway, so I'm glad you did that lead into it. She's dead. She and all the other vampires, they can only look however they looked when they became a vampire. And they cannot ever change. And that's also part of their curse. And that's what Armand was getting into when he wanted Louis to be his companion, because, Armand is 400 years old. So he grew up in the time, and he lived through the time of the 1400s, but now it's like the late 1800s, and he cannot relate to the world anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what he wanted Louis for, to help him relate to the world. Because that's what happens to these vampires, is that they are locked as they are in death. And it reminded me of my favorite. Let me see, my favorite quote from The Simpsons, and it's delivered by Grandpa Simpson. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it anymore, and what's it seems weird and scary. It'll happen to you. And that's what Armand is going through, and Claudia, being unable to change her hair, being stuck in that form, that's a physical manifestation of that theme for the vampires.
Yeah.
So
other themes are freaking okay. I mean, themes of vampirism have always been blood and blood mixing and race.
Yeah.
And racism, you know.
Well, that reminds me, if you don't mind the tangent, where Louis was just turned into a vampire. And who does so we see vampires preying on humans.
Yeah.
But we also see these two men preying on women. But there are also two white men preying onto black women. And so, Louis, he's a slave owner. He owns a slave plantation. So, there's that aspect of control,
power.
Power over people, power over life and death. Louis as a slave owner would have that over his slaves, and that's how vampires see humans as, or at least Lestat and Armand and all those others.
It's just and also the first victims of Louis and Claudia, and whenever Lestat is showing Louis, they're all women. They're all, and oftentimes they're sex workers as well. They are the lower class women, who the powerless of the powerless, or they're the black women or the slave women, in Yvette, so it's just really interesting, the power dynamics, and just thinking about vampirism in general. I mean, it quoted Nosferatu, which is a movie basically about the fear of, I mean, if you read into it, which I mean, it even talks about it, I think, in the movie, but basically Jewish people and their blood mixing in with,
oh yeah,
quote unquote pure blood or whatever.
Miscegenation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is part of the vampire lore in a way, and it's I mean, obviously people have changed it, but blood is part of it, and in blood, as far as in every sense of the word, as far as descendant and bloodlines as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an unavoidable part, even if it's not, even if you're not exploring racism with your vampire story or whatever, it's still the themes of the bloodlines are
Mm-hmm.
still in that family lines of that symbolism is still there.
Yeah.
Which I just think is interesting, and yeah, and just also the theme of, because I mean, Lestat is so violent, and he just seems like he hates women almost. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like he seems like a misogynist. And
Because he kills one, I think he only kills one man.
Yeah.
In the entire movie, and it's like not gruesome at all. He gets him in the neck, and that's it. But with every other person he's killed, it's a woman, and it's like a dramatic scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally.
Well,
get that.
a lot of that is also because he's trying to get Louis to accept that he's a natural killer and predator now, and so he's trying to reach to Louis that he needs to act like a predator as well, and he needs to accept that, and so he needs to start to kill these people in order so that he can feed and fully utilize and optimize his own vampiric nature. So I think that's where a lot of the drama is coming from. But yeah, I do see your point, Dan. Like, yeah, it does come out as very misogynist.
There's also the themes of homoeroticism, of queer lens that you can look at.
Which I realize we didn't bring that up yet.
No, we didn't. But I mean, and this could be wrong of me to say, or problematic of me to say. But there, I have noticed not necessarily a theme, but maybe a theme, whatever, of like certain gay men who, maybe because of society or things, they have a certain disdain for women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it goes so far that they only like men in a way, and so it's like it just goes an extra step too far of not just liking men only, but
not hating women.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, not just being attracted to men, but to
being repulsed by women.
Yeah.
And I think that I saw maybe some of that in Lestat as well, because again, we do see him, almost courting that young trophy husband of the countess or whatever. As they're walking under the Spanish moss, and they almost embrace as that part is very queer.
Yeah.
But that's just something I thought of, and I was thinking of, and obviously I don't think that about a blanket thing.
Yeah, of course.
But it's something I've thought about as the themes, and as part of the queer reading of this film.
Well, it also shows how little sympathy Lestat has for other people. Yeah. I mean, he's essentially a sociopath where he sees people only as objects and not as people who feel things and can be hurt by them. What other people are is just what they can provide to him. And so with humans, it's just food. Humans are just cattle to him.
Yeah.
And even then, that goes with Louis and Claudia, because they're just companions to him. They're just there for him to have somebody to talk to and to talk to him.
Right.
Does he really care about them?
And he can get another one just like that, and that's what he's about to do. Right before Claudia kills him, he's like, "I'm going to get you a brother."
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
you're right. You're right.
100%.
Absolutely.
And another thing, because I did mention how vampires, they need people scared. to get the blood pumping. But Lestat also uses eroticism. He needs to either get them scared out of their minds or horny out of their pants.
Yeah.
He needs that blood pumping. He needs that whatever he can get it. And those are like the two extremes. It's like fear or horny.
Well, it's something that I think about with what is it? The second Daniel Craig Bond movie. Is it Quantum of Solace? Yeah, A Quantum of Solace.
Okay.
I think it's that one. Or it just might be Casino Royale. But either way, I think it's Casino Royale instead. But anyway, he seduces this woman who's like the lover of one of the bad guys. But then the bad guys find out that like she gave him information, and so they killed her. And then M says something to the effect of like, well, this is what happens when you use sex as a weapon. And the trope is that usually women use sex as a weapon,
Right.
because throughout the past, that's all of the power that they've had, because they had so many other avenues denied to them, so they had to use sex as a weapon. But this is one of the rare cases where men use their sexual their sexuality as a weapon against others. Yeah.
And I'm just thinking of the quote whenever Lestat is old and he's like, I could get anyone I wanted, even you. And it's just that decaying has left that from him, has taken that away from him. That vitality and the sex appeal and the
Well, at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we see as Louis walks towards the house, like right outside the door, we see all those dead rats.
Yeah.
So we see what Lestat has been feeding on.
Yeah.
So
I didn't notice that.
I think it's much like serial killers. Once they garner an audience, that's when a lot of the killings get more gruesome, and there's a lot more than before. They're a lot more frequent, and I think that's what it was with Lestat. Once he lost his audience, which was Louis, he was like, killing is not for me anymore. I'll just drink rats. That's fine.
Well, he also got burned the fuck up too.
Also got burned the fuck up.
Right after, he drank blood poison. So
but it's also because that happened in the 1800s. Now 1988. So it's
but he was fucked up hard.
He was fucked up hard. But I feel like at some point he could have been like, I can get like a kid or something. Like something that won't run fast. You know what I mean? A kid or an old lady. But he just resorted to eating all of those rats, and I do think it's because he lost that audience. He lost that thrill of showing off, and he even says that when he's like, I always wanted you, Louis, and you denied me, and I wanted you even more then. So he always, even though he sees everyone as a companion, and especially Louis, even though there are like some homoerotic undertones there, like he needed him more than he, I guess, thought.
Yeah.
Outside of a sexual realm, outside of a companion realm, but also just for life itself, or I guess undead life itself or whatever, he needed him.
How can a top be a top if there's no bottom?
Exactly. Actually, do you think he topped?
Lestat? Are you kidding me? He absolutely topped.
I feel like no.
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 Lestat hate fuck Louis for sure. Yeah.
I feel like Lestat
Lestat only hate fuck. Okay.
I feel like maybe in the beginning, but at some point he was like, Louis, fuck me. He's like, I've been in control for too long.
No,
take the reins.
no.
I feel, oh my gosh, I feel like so deep in my soul.
No, I guarantee.
I feel like there had been a role reversal.
No.
That would have required actual tenderness and intimacy, though.
Yeah, and that would actually require Louis to like be active, and do that. So
you might be right. God damn
it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Looking at it through the queer lens again.
I
mean, I feel like it's obvious, but it's almost a story of Lestat being the one to show Louis how to be gay,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's been said a billion times, but it is interesting that, you know, you don't always get to choose the people who help you with that.
Right.
They could be extremely toxic. In this case, they are.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to learn how to be your own person and develop yourself.
Right.
And go past what they taught you and learn more and find other mentors and grow more.
Yeah. This movie definitely shows the importance of having somebody to teach you. Because without that teaching, you know, that's what caused Claudia to commit the crime that got her killed in the first place, but she didn't even know that was a crime.
Right.
So yeah, this movie does show that importance of mentorship, and the reason why I was laughing a little bit is because you were talking about, you know, the queer lens and, you know, having somebody, you know, show you how to be gay. Well, Billy Eichner, isn't that what he said?
I'm anticipating what you're about to say.
So, Billy Eichner, he had a show. It's called Difficult People. Okay, it was on Hulu. It was only 2 seasons, and I'm so sad that it only lasted 2 seasons. But what happened in an episode of that show was that Billy, it was like come out day.
Yeah.
Okay. And then and so Billy Eichner, he found this gay guy who he really liked, and so he pretended that he was solely straight. So that guy could like teach him how to be gay and be his first time. Because that guy had he had a thing where he liked dating straight men and then turning them gay.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Such a great episode.
So stupid.
Watch Difficult People. I mean, it's only 2 seasons, and it was 2015 to 2017.
That's so
but it's such a great show. It's such a great show. So. Can you imagine Billy Eichner as like a vampire?
Oh god.
Speaking loudly and obnoxiously for eternity. But I love him. I say that, but I absolutely love his comedy.
Like imagine him as Louis in this movie, and the interviewer,
oh my god, you know,
the interviewer is like, so what do you do? He's like, I'm a vampire.
I'm a vampire. I'm moody. I'm sad. Give me blood now.
I lost my wife and my child, and I had to burn up my husband. I'm enraged.
Let's burn some shit.
You guys are really good at this.
Just give us a gay movie to watch. We're having a blast, dude. Oh gosh,
I'm noticing a theme of yours, Ciara. If we haven't already talked about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're never getting you're never getting a straight movie out of me. If you do, I'm turning it gay. It's very easy.
That's fair.
We should probably wrap this up soon.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to touch on?
I'm trying to think.
I feel like we should quote the movie a little because there's so much dialogue to quote.
I don't write down quotes anymore. Let them watch the movie. But yeah, there are a ton of great.
Oh, all right, okay.
How does it feel to be food for the Immortals? Yeah, I like that.
I love to star the important stuff I have. So I have one thing that really stood out to me is so Lestat shows back up after he's been in the swamp for however long.
Yeah.
And I just love this little detail, but he's playing the harpsichord or the piano, but the shot they choose to use where they show his hands,
his arms are crossed.
His arms are crossed. They're like in the inverted position where, if you need to go take a jump down to the lower notes with your right hand, you can do that. So it's just like this beautiful shot. It's just so unnatural, but it just looks, it's so unnatural, but it's,
but it fits his character.
It's perfect. Yeah. Yes, it's a decision. It's supposed to be unnatural because it's like, he's so off in this moment, and he always is off, but it's just
but he's still trying to be elegant and elitist and beautiful, even though he obviously is not. So yeah,
I just love that shot. And I was like, that's sick. That's a wonderful decision.
One of the things I really want to talk about real quick is Christian Slater in this movie.
Oh, what a man!
Oh
God.
I have some young Christian Slater movies we could watch.
Ooh, yeah.
Have you ever seen Pump Up the Volume?
Of course I have.
Okay.
I'm not a big Christian Slater head, I don't think.
Huh? Have you seen Heathers?
Of course I've seen Heather.
Has he seen either of those movies?
I haven't seen
he
Heathers.
hasn't seen the movie Heathers. We only saw the stage.
I saw the
production of it,
musical.
which is also very good.
Okay.
But yeah, I need to get you into it. And you know what's funny is that I forgot how much I loved Christian Slater. I thought how attractive he was until I saw him like at now age in Mr. Robot. I was like, and then, like, my obsession with him restarted after watching Mr. Robot. Like, was that 2016 or whatever?
Yeah, he takes care of himself. Well, I mean, mostly takes care of himself. He's had some personal problems, but
he's still fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. did drugs too, and he's still kind of hot, so it's fine.
I think I don't know if it's I think one of the most troublesome things about Christian Slater is that you never know if he's just talking or if he's just doing his Jack Nicholson impression.
I have no skin in this game. I don't care enough about Christian Slater at the moment.
That's so good.
I mean, no, I'm serious. Because, I mean, like, you know, I love him. He was also in, what was it? Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
With his Samantha Mathis, his co-star from Pump Up the Volume, and John Travolta. But I think here, oh my God, he was laying it on thick. Yeah. He was laying it on thick.
For sure.
Makes me want to watch Prince of Thieves again because I think that's his Lee's Jack Nicholson. But he was also in a great movie, Murder in the First, with Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, he played this guy who was sent to Alcatraz, I think. But he was sent there when he was like really young. And then he was put in, what is it?
Solitary?
Yeah, solitary confinement. Yeah, he was put in solitary confinement, but for years and never let out. And when they let him out, he was just so messed up from being locked up alone for so long that one of the first things he did was kill a guy with a spoon. And so Christian Slater, he plays the lawyer who tries to defend him. So yeah, that's I remember.
Intense.
Yeah, I remember it being really good, but I haven't seen it since it came out. And you know, Christian Slater, he's also an Archer.
Yes.
Can I just say though, that was probably my least favorite part of the movie. This movie.
Oh yeah,
was the interview scenes, especially the last scene.
Well, they wanted to cut away. You know, they make a great excuse. You know, him. Well, I mean, you know, it's interview with a vampire, and so you know, doing those interviews, those are a great excuse for cutaways and also for time skips.
Yeah.
And I like the last part because, you know, Louis, he's trying to get across, you know, how being a vampire is bad, but all the reporter does is say, "Oh, you're so cool! I want to be one too." And Louis goes, "You haven't been listening." And
I did like
no,
that part.
I have. You know, so I like, you know, that back and forth. And then when Lestat shows up out of nowhere, now that
yes,
that's strange credulity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing about Christian Slater's character is that the very beginning, the back and forth between him and Louis is just so fucking funny to me. Cause literally he's like, "So what do you do?" And he's like, "I'm a vampire." And then he's like, "Okay." And then he asks him a question and he answers it like a vampire. And he's like, "That's a weird way to answer a question." And then he goes and he's like, "Do you want me to turn on the lights?" He's like, "I thought vampires hate the light." And he's like, "Oh, we love it." And he turns it on, but like he goes, you know, supersonic speed or whatever. And he's like, "How did you do that?" And he's like, "I'm a fucking vampire." like the whole first scene with both of them is just Louis being like, "I don't know how if there's another way for me to tell you that I'm a vampire, I'll tell you this entire story and then maybe you'll understand." And then at the very end, Christian Slater's like, you're a vampire. He's like, yes, and it's terrible, and I want there to be awareness that vampires are here and they're the worst things in the world, and yada yada. And Christian Slater's like, I want to be a vampire.
Yeah.
And Louis like, dude, I spent 2 hours telling you the worst moments of my life being a vampire, and you're excited about it. He's like, yeah, man, vampires exist, and I want in.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would frustrate the fuck out of me. Oh my gosh.
Well, when that part was when Louis reminded the reporter that he hasn't smoked in a while, I thought they were going to pull a thing where the reporter would get, lung cancer or something, and that's why he wants to be a vampire.
Right.
God,
it's so good. It made me so mad. The very beginning made me so mad. Every time I watch it, I get angry. I'm like, he's telling you.
Well, you got to show, not tell. So, and you also have to show to the audience too.
True,
so.
but it was just so funny.
Yeah,
it's like, what a weird way to answer a question. And Louis just like, guy, come on. And with Louis, he's so patient.
Well. Look how old he is. I mean, he kind of has to be.
He kind of has to be. That would just piss me off so bad. I wonder how many other interviews he's done where he just fucking left. He's like, I'm a vampire. Someone's like, LOL. And he's like, fuck you then. And he just leaves. And then this one time he's like, count to 10.
Oh, I like this one. Since you comprehend what you call goodness, does that make you good? I like that one. Because he's like, talking about how Louis always seems holier than thou, but doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, does the awareness of a moral position, make you a better person, or does acting upon that moral outlook make you a moral person, or does anything make you a moral person?
I like that.
Well, I like at the end where Armand, where it's just Armand and Louis now, and then Louis tells him, fuck off. I'm gonna fuck off. Armand says that one of the things that he wants to take from Louis is his sense of humanness and his sense of regret.
Yeah.
And then Louis is like, no, the reason why you want me is because I am human, because I do regret. And if I regretted nothing, I would feel nothing. And, that's Louis' whole position here. And, he goes through so much tragedy, but what he's saying there is that suffering through that tragedy, but, not letting it dull him is what keeps him human. Suffering through tragedy doesn't make you human, because that's a bad mental health stance to take. Yeah. And that's not what he's saying. It's it's kind of like what is it? Naturalism, where the universe, bad things happen in the universe, which there's not always a reason why it happens. That's one of the questions Louis has at the beginning. Why are vampires what we are? How did this happen? And that's what leads him and Claudia to search out the vampires, because they have those questions. And they're very existential questions. Why am I here? They have it as vampires, whereas people have it as humans. And what Louis is saying is that, by having those regrets, by having those suffering, it reminds him that he needs to sympathize with other people and put himself in the view of other people's, which the vampires don't do. And that's what makes him a human. It also reminds me of Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Have either of you seen it?
I think so.
Oh, huh?
I think so.
The
Which one is that?
It's the one where Spock's half brother is a cult leader.
Wait. It's not the one where they go to the other planet and there's God, right?
Yes, that's exactly the one.
Okay, I love that one. I love that one.
Do you love it for the right reasons or the wrong reasons?
The existential reasons.
Okay. Because what Sivak is his name, and what he does is he's able to use his Vulcan telepathy to have people relive through their most traumatic event but he's able to take that away from them. And so because they don't have that guilt anymore, they follow him. Yeah. And they try to do that to Captain Kirk, and Bill Shatner's like, you're not going to take away my pain. My pain is what makes me human. I need my pain. No, Bill Shatner also directed that movie. So,
fair.
Yeah, but that's what that reminded me of. I need my pain. I would love, what would be greater if Brad Pitt as Louis said that line, or if we had Bill Shatner as Louis.
I mean, we almost have that. We have no pain. No pain. That's from Lestat, I think.
Okay.
No pain was Armand.
Sorry.
Okay.
With the woman on stage, which leads me to one of my last 2 points.
Okay.
No real discussion necessary. Just things that I pointed out.
Okay.
Imagine being killed by a pale bitch that rhymes. I could not die like that.
Okay.
That fucker was creepy. Oh, that was Santiago.
Oh yeah.
Freaky as fuck, bro.
Oh yeah.
I would hate to die by Santiago for sure.
I loved his introduction though, when he's like walking around the ceiling.
Yeah. That's great. Well, he's also dressed up as Brad Pitt like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also during the theater burning scene, Santiago is the last one to confront Brad Pitt,
and he does the same thing.
And he's also dressed the same as Louis is.
Yes.
So yeah,
good.
That's a nice mirror, bookends for that. Mm-hmm.
And then my last point is beautiful manicures. All the vampires, their fingernails are just so damn beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I am jealous. In the show, they're a lot like they look like press-ons. I'm not gonna lie, which is unfortunate. They're just like like almost like a opally white press-on nail, like just fucking daggers, right? But in this, they're gorgeous French tip, a rounded French tip. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Well, that's what that's what I've learned in TV production is that most of the time. They don't style people's hair. They use wigs a lot of the time. Like even if they have their own hair, because it's just easier to style the wig before the actors get there, and then just put the wig on.
Exactly.
And so it's the same with the fingernails.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Because I really noticed it, of course, with Lestat, who also I want to mention his little thing he has on his finger.
His Gom Jabbar is what I call it.
It looks like the tip to a quill pen or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a
whooshy finger.
It's a whooshy finger. It's a blade. It's so fucking sick. Mm-hmm. I love that so much. Because he doesn't want to get his fingernails dirty. But I noticed his fingernails. I was like, damn, is that just him? I feel like that would just be Lestat. You know what I mean? And then I looked at Antonio Banderas' fingers and I was like, girl, who do you guys go to? What's her address? Like, does she charge like extra? It was really, really nice. Mm-hmm. The designing for these vampires was so great. The costume designing, also, one thing I do love. This is my last point, and then we can end. Throughout the centuries, Louis, he has on the regalia of the times and everything, and then we get to 1988, and he's wearing this full brown suit, but it looks big on him. Like it's giving David Byrne almost, and it's like his hair, it's still luscious, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of just like it feels more free almost, like he's like a whole new woman. And I love that so much for him. He's like a whole new there's something else. There's good blood flowing through them veins, you know what I mean? He saw the sunlight and he's like living life right now. And I just love that so much.
Interview with a Vampire, also known as How Louis Got His Groove Back. Yeah.
So good.
Before you go, a special thank you to our bestest friend of the show, Brian. Thank you, Brian, for supporting Your Movie, My Movie. Now, if any of you would like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/yourmoviemymoviepodcast, or leave us a review on whatever you're listening to us on. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.
And if you'd like to listen to a little bit more of me, Steve, then be sure to check out Real Play Games Podcast. Real Play Games Podcast is an actual play role-playing game podcast where GM John runs his friends, me included, through a bunch of tabletop role-playing games, some pretty popular, and some of them obscure. They release episodes every week using a variety of different role-playing game systems. I'm not in every episode, but all of them are fun to listen to. So if you're looking for another great podcast to listen to, be sure to check them out. Dan, do you have any last things you want to say about the movie?
I can't top that. No.
Oh, well, I can top it because we haven't talked about what happens at the very last part of the movie, which is Axl Rose singing "Sympathy for the Devil."
It was actually kind of nostalgic. I hadn't heard a Guns N' Roses song in about 3 years or something.
Uh-huh. Well, this is the second time that a Guns N' Roses song has been mentioned on the podcast, but the first time was not performed by Guns N' Roses.
Oh yeah, Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have we mentioned it yet?
What?
Oh, we have. Yeah. I'm so out of like the timing of when we're.
Well, we air them all in order. We air them all in order. So
exactly in my head, we haven't released it yet, but that's right now as we're recording, not when this goes up. This is like 8 episodes later. God,
whole year.
I'm so screwed.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Axl Rose singing "Sympathy for the Devil."
Pleased to meet you, sweet child of mine.
No, don't do a medley. Don't do a medley. Don't do a Guns N' Roses medley.
Oh, sweet child of the devil.
Nice.
Okay, we can be done now. I'm done. I'm definitely done now. All right, bye, guys.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hey.